I welcome everybody. My name is Han, a Jenny. It's meant to be some amazing ladies with this teeth, brave, riding on a journey to find purpose in terms of career. And so you can call us pathfinders. You can call us career quests, career explorer. Dora Explorer. All right, so the ladies will be introducing themselves and then we'll take you on a journey today. Thank you. The ladies with the seats.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Cynthia Atubo and I am a lawyer, litigation lawyer for that matter. Thank you for having me here.
Here. And
my name is Angel Erika. I'm not a lawyer.
Well, you do the adventure of what you do and already on the path.
Lawyer, yes. Lawyer, yes.
Okay, I am a lawyer in equity.
Yes.
But I really don't want to be a lawyer.
So, to start with, we'll be talking about the purpose of this podcast. All right, so like to take you guys on a journey to understand your purpose. But before then, we'll be delving into a lot of, aspects. But for now, let's talk about the vision. What comes to mind when you talk about a vision? Most especially when it comes to career. What comes to your mind?
I guess I'm the lucky one to start. Vision, when you talk about what comes to mind, what comes to my mind when you talk about vision as regards career? So, what simply comes to mind is, what do I want to do? Where do I see myself career-wise? Where do I find myself in the nearest future? What do I envisage myself doing? What career path am I looking at towing? That's basically what understand by vision when it comes to career. We all envisage something when it comes to career, where we want to find ourselves, what we want to do, what we have in mind to do. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to apply with what we studied in school, but there's a vision, there's something we have in mind career-wise that we want to achieve later on and we work towards it. So that's what comes to mind.
What I want to understand right now, it's not necessarily what you went to school to study, but it has to be all about you, something that resonates with your person.
Yes.
But sometimes we find ourselves confused, and then you don't. Some people cannot even find themselves not to talk about what is resonating with them.
So I think maybe later on we'll be able to discuss that part eventually. All right. Yeah, when we progress.
So, gorgeous.
Okay, for me, vision is career-wise, it's more like the backbone of why you're going into that aspect of your life. If you decide, okay, this is what I want to do as my career, what do you see for it? What's the essence of why you have decided to take that up as your career? Because I think we don't necessarily have a clear understanding of what career stands for in our lives. Because if you want to look at how we grew up here, it's all about what mommy and daddy wants and what would bring you money to at least, you're secure here. And then in their old age, they won't have to worry about you, and maybe something they would also hopefully benefit from. But at the end of the day, they don't want the one where you're stuck because you went to go and do a certain career in quotes that would not bring in the money funds. But you see, many of us just go into these things because that's what we're told to do, but we don't even bother to check that aspect because it's not what we really want to do. Vision, vision is where you're going to. If you enter inside a car, while you're entering the car, you're just sitting down to just relax. Okay, that's your aim. That's your vision for drinks like that. Anyway. But if you're entering a car, everyone who enters the car, whether it's your car or public transport, you already have in mind where you're going to. There is a destination. There is where you're trying to be. And anything in between your point A to point B is a whole process you have to go through just to get there. You might meet traffic or the car may break down, but the fact is your goal is what keeps you pushing. So you see, once a lot of people don't have a vision of why they've gotten themselves into a certain career, you see stagnancy, you will see people giving up, not necessarily because it's hard or anything, but they really don't have a picture of why they are in that career that they've chosen or has been put upon. But I would say put upon them. If you want to use exactly our Nigerian society, yes, put upon them. So that is what I see. That's what I feel vision is. It's more like the backbone for why you've chosen a certain career path.
So why out of them going to search Google, I was able to coin out a word from Google. And then the first word that popped up was, when you were talking about purpose, is often expressed as a decision that we have taken, just like you guys are stating, or it's a feeling towards something. Like for example, now if you feel okay, your core in life is to be a doctor, of course, it comes with you finding out some attribute about yourself that makes you think or feel that, okay, yeah, I think when I grow up, I'm going to be does it just come naturally, or is it something you have to work upon over time?
It doesn't come naturally. There's going to be some form of external influence. And I'll use myself as an example. I know growing up, one of my favorite uncles is a doctor. And because it's my favorite uncle, yeah, I said I want to be a doctor. But before then, before I decided I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be an actress. Wow. Right now, but I've been, something like that, So, but let me tell you what stops me from being an actress. Now, when I say outside influence, my parents my mom studied theater art, so she was already in that field. My dad was in production, so I was already surrounded by this sort of people, being on sets, being around all of this, watching all of these programs, because that was what my dad was watching when he's producing something. So I was already there. So in my mind, I want to be an actress. But then there's this my favorite uncle who lived with us at a time. He was still very young. I can't even remember what he was doing, whether he was schooling or youth service sports. He was my favorite uncle, and I knew him as a doctor. So I wanted to be a doctor. So before I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be an actress. And then I changed my mind. I changed my mind, and what even pushed me to because when I told my mom I want to be an actress, she said there's no money in acting.
Wow. Wow. And you can imagine now.
You can imagine now,
like
that's the thing. You see, just because things are a certain way at a certain time, it's always going to be like that. I wish you were. But then, thank God for social media, you can.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
Get there.
I mean, we used to act when we want to get certain things down.
Yeah.
When like if you want to get money from somebody, you can't act doing frowning faces.
Yeah.
So I'm technically still an actress.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's
not professionally.
Not professionally.
I don't get you understand for it, but
thank you. But you see, now my journey that was the one thing that stuck. I wanted to be a doctor. But along the journey, it was difficult. Jammed several times, told me I wasn't smart enough due to the scores, which let's put that one on one side, because that has been a dream killer
in Nigeria.
People.
In Nigeria.
Because the people who you see doing third class, they go out of the country, they're bragging on us and taking awards, and you're like, so that jam frustrated me trying to get into medicine directly. So I was advised to, okay, study one course and then a science related course and go into it. But by the time I reached 200 level, I said, I'm not doing it again. I was tired. I was done with the dream of being a doctor. But the only thing that kept me going was my parents have spent money. So let me just finish it.
Then you can imagine.
Yes.
Can imagine.
So even when I was like, I was now surrounded by a different set of people. And by this time, this was when it was finally coming to me where I most likely would want to be. Yeah. So even when I mentioned to my dad that, because then I had this, I was very close with photographers and makeup artists and then in school. So I was exposed to the behind the scenes world, and I loved it. I remember I was trying to learn how to take pictures with a camera. And when I told my dad I want to do production, he said, so what happened? In short, we didn't need to discuss further than that. So what happened to the school that you went to? I said, and that was the end of the freedom for you to express. That was the end of the discussion. But the funniest thing that my whole life working since I started going to an office to get money has nothing to do with my degree at all. Has nothing to do with what I actually want to do. It's just something that I'm good at.
It's you, and then
but not what that
floating.
Exactly. So you see how
easy.
You see how it is. But where I am right now, I can say it's taking me.
You mean to set a pathway for yourself?
Yes. So now I'm at a point where I'm certain, I'm sure this is what I want to do.
So you're just paving your way.
And just right now. So right now, that clarity is there. So it's just
paving.
So imagine how long and how many things I've had to do over the years
going to
get to
like
that.
how long.
So now
you to take a detour and not go
get back to where you are.
I am going. This is where.
But the thing is, as kids growing up, if presently now, I think things are beginning to change. During our time, like Angel rightly said, we probably get to be motivated by people around us. So that's like one of the things that comes with, for career paths, they say, what is your why? And to answer that question, it has to do with your purpose and your motivation. So as growing up as kids, we are mainly motivated by people that we had around us. Angel had her uncle who motivated her like, oh, okay, I want to be a doctor because my uncle is a doctor. So he's a motivation. I wanted to be a lawyer because I saw my cousin sister, who is a lawyer, and then it pushed me, motivated me into wanting to become a lawyer.
I wanted to be a doctor,
so maybe if we were open. So I think it's something that, like I believe that they're doing that now in schools.
Yeah.
They have guidance and counselors who helps them navigate and like when it comes to making decisions for their career and the future, they help them now. Because if you start early, I think it will reduce a lot of confusion.
Yes, and you make your mistakes early enough
for you to direct you. Maybe I would have been something else, who knows?
Yes.
Maybe, but I just feel like, I didn't even get to think it's too much. Oh, she's studying law. Can you say I want to study law? Solely because she's studying law, and here I am being a lawyer. Maybe if I was open to other things, if we're open to other things early enough in life, it will help us make an informed decision.
Definitely.
To help us make an informed decision.
I don't know how schools are now. I don't want to bring in the expense. The expensive schools are the ones that do the things that our school ought to do.
It's just that school is for the expensive ones.
Because I remember having a science club, drama club,
French club, literary,
all of those clubs. And I even joined drama club, but they say I could not act. You see all those voices.
There are always voices pulling
voices
down.
will always, like, they don't even give you a chance.
Opportunity.
Because if I was in a foreign school, like after I watched all of those movies that show high school settings, like, you, at least, even if you audition for a role, you don't get it, doesn't mean you are out of the club.
No,
it doesn't mean you're not being, nobody's teaching. Like, that kind of, even though we had that exposure, it wasn't made a big deal the way it is over there. Over there, the way their clubs strongly influence who they become later.
Yeah.
For majority of them, not all of them, but for majority of them. You see people who were in the press club and they come out to be one of the best journalists.
Yeah.
Yes. Somebody who started in Glee Club, though, because the series Glee, but that's basically what they call drama clubs there. They come out, they're actors, actresses, dancers, musicians. Like, if we had that, see,
So at the end of the day, it's a foundation.
It's a foundation. One of the things I actually feel that I might not, okay, right now, because I'm certain of what I'm doing, but I feel one of the things I would have been if I had that exposure was to be a dancer, not even a ballet dancer, the contemporary dancers are close to ballet dancers. I probably would have been that. Probably. Because if there's one thing I knew as a child I was obsessed with was gymnastics in Olympics. I was obsessed with that category. But as I was being exposed to different kinds of dance categories, I now found out contemporary was there. Contemporary is not ballet, it's not gymnastics, but it's kind of like intertwined kind of thing. And there was a time I actually attempted it. But you see that voice? Just because he told me to do something and I made a statement, that was how he stopped me from learning contemporary and said I should learn salsa. Those voices, like, instead of telling people no.
If it's not internal, it's external. If you're not, if the voice in your head is not telling you, oh, you can't do this, there's somebody outside telling you, you can't do it.
You can't do it. And for me, it's more of external than internal. So it's not me that said, I don't feel like, no, it's always people telling me, you can't do it. And me too, I'm like, I guess you're right, because you're the expert and you know more.
I had someone tell me, so because she's studying law, you want to study law, do you have the brains for it? Why don't you go and do, what's the mass communication? At least that one is easier.
As if the brain just goes like that.
Imagine telling a child
who doesn't know.
Telling a child, do you have the brains
going anywhere?
Go study mass communication. So, like I said, if it's not internal, it's external. So, and then it's not left for you. Sadly, some people are not so strong-minded or strong-willed to go ahead, to forge ahead, despite all these voices that we get to hear.
Yeah.
So, a lot of visions have been cut down
from the roots
because of all these voices of, you're probably not going to be good enough at this. You're probably not going to be good enough at that. Go and try this. And then you see them doing something that is not
their strength at all.
And they're struggling. And because that's not what they want.
And that's one thing I want to appreciate parents these days.
Yeah.
Because they recognize the strengths and they start to
and
because of the exposure we now have. Thank God for social media. If social media doesn't expose us to the rest of the world, how many more dreams would have been killed?
I think that is where we have to, give honor to honor, because this social media thing, why some are still telling us that this social media thing, it's like the disadvantage. We could see the advantage of social media because of
huge advantages
to be exposed. It helps you to understand who you are. And then for the unfortunate ones, it can make them, go the wrong way and choose the wrong path. So, but what I wanted to get right now, so calling from our days, right now, do you think people are informed enough to guide their word, or you still think people are still, opinionated, trying to lord their own opinion?
Personally, to answer this your question, so I think it has to do with your family, your background, where you're coming from. We still have a lot of parents who are very, very opinionated right now. No matter what you want to do, they still want to make those decisions for you. And I'm going to give you an example. While we're doing our externship, when I was doing my externship, I had this colleague then, Wale. I remember his mom was a son then. And he kept telling us that, see, I'm not interested in this thing. I'm really not interested in this law. They made me study law. I want to be a musician. I want to be like Fowles. He was like, okay, no. He said, you know what? I'm going to end up like Fowles because I don't want to do this. I'm doing this. His mom is a son. I think his dad is a judge. Like they're all, so he's like, I don't want, and he's the only son. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But they were making him do like, oh, you have to study law because it's not a family thing.
Yeah, it has to be like a family, like a prestige. Oh, so
Yes,
this family,
we're all, you know. So he's like, I don't want to do this. So even when they asked us, when our supervisor then asked, it was like, cause he asked every single person. So we're like, after this, what next? After law school, what next? Where do you see yourself? Are you furthering? Are you doing this? What branch of law do you want to master yours? He was like, I'm going into music, rap. Are you sure? He said, yes, sir. I don't want to do this. Once I get my certificate, I'm going to hand it over to my parents and I am going to do what I
This
want.
is what you paid for me to go learn and so
So this is it.
so now I want
So that's why I said, that's why I said, I think it has to do with the family, the background, and how open your family is at supporting you in doing what you want to do. Or if they are opinionated, like, oh, no, we want you to do this. So it will help you make an informed decision about your career and your life. That's what I think.
you still think we are still
Sadly,
We have the opinionated parents.
like,
We
there are
have the
two-
double-minded
the two-
parents too.
yes,
Like,
and then we have
okay,
those.
I'm not stopping you from doing this.
But don't you think?
But you know, you should have something you can fall back
Yeah,
on. You know, when you are getting old, they always use that age thing.
Yeah,
Like,
something to fall back on.
will you still be doing? Will
Yeah.
you still be doing? You need something.
Will you
that
do
will
music
be-
forever?
Would you do music forever? I mean, you should have that business you're running on the side. See, I get where they are coming from. They're
Yeah.
really trying to make sure that you're secure.
We have
But
a
see,
secured
it's
future.
because they don't have that understanding of certain fields and how it goes. And unfortunately, in this side of the world, it's just a few things that have now started gaining traction, like makeup industry. The way it has grown over the past, let me say, how many years now? Let me say over the past 10, 15 is stretching it.
No, 15 is stretching.
15 is stretching it.
10 years.
Let's just use 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's use 10
decade,
years.
right?
Yeah.
a decade.
Let's use 10 years, because where the makeup industry now is in Nigeria, this is something that has been in existence outside the country, because there are different aspects of makeup. There's the makeup for stage play, there's makeup for movie sets, there's makeup for
different types.
for
Now the deeds and all that.
exactly. There's even makeup for dead bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morticians.
Like, so you can imagine that all of those things were already there, but it wasn't a thing over here. Until some people, like the first set of makeup networking this thing that came, Mary Kay. Mary Kay was around 2005, 2006.
That came into Nigeria.
So it was the first networking makeup thing before it became, you started hearing the most popular name I was always hearing when it came to makeup, but apart from Mary Kay, was MAC.
Yes, Mac.
So then there was a time where women were just into makeup, but it wasn't a personal, like now that YouTube has every tutorial,
Everything is
practically a girl can beat up her face herself without necessarily paying somebody, until the makeup industry has just became something else.
But I want us to come back to that makeup thing a little bit, because even at that time, there are some people that leverage on that. You can't take away the base of Tara.
No, of course. Tara was like,
really,
she's like the godmother.
Godmother for it.
She's one of those few, she's one of the few people who, I don't know her full story, but she was one of the few people who started when she was the first person who started her own makeup brand. She was in university where she started.
You cannot talk about makeup in Nigeria.
Without mentioning Tara. Without mentioning Tara.
Dorotoye.
Because
You cannot.
if not for the opportunities she created for young girls who just needed something small inside their pockets, you won't even have the big makeup artists that you are having now.
The Tolu Felix or something. All these big names.
A lot of big names.
There are a lot of big names. There's one lady that I like. Her name is Laifa. Laifa is, I just love her. And you have some people who even started with the makeup and then they grew into other things. So it's because they didn't see some of this.
I just want to believe they understood the concept and they had a vision, a wider vision that to accommodate all that. They saw that makeup thing and said, okay, this could be an empire. It could be an entity.
Yes, and it's because if you see those who have brought things and grown them to what they are now, those people at a point had to get the knowledge to see that it's possible here, that Nigeria is a fertile ground. If you look at, if our parents just saw these things as menial jobs, like before they tailor. Right now, we're trying to change that word.
Calling tailors to fashion.
We're not just roadside tailors.
Let me just chip in this. I would say that growing up, I saw tailor as like a substandard thing to you.
Because it was a housewife thing.
You was somebody something like this person
It's like, why are you looking down?
Why you looking down? Because I could remember.
So me, I'm not going to go to school.
My guy here, they was like, go and learn this, especially the wedding dress. And I was like, no, nah. So this person didn't actually make the value.
Because I was not raised in it.
Guessing.
And that's because over here
today, look at CJ. Look at,
and that's because
Subo.
over here,
Look at Subo.
Vicky James is not even up to how many years? She's just about 5 years. When is she? It's not 20. No, wait.
Look at them.
Was it
Look
not
at her
20?
now.
Look at her now. So it's like a lot of these things that our parents didn't see as a big deal, because if you look at our parents, almost every mom had at least one sewing machine in the house.
My dad.
So it was more
It's not the complete one, like the table one that you had. Where you just the hand owned. Everybody had.
My mom had. We used to use the wheel as car. We used to sit inside and be driving. So, and that was where I learned to thread a machine. That was where I learned to at least roll, but not to sew. But at least I had an idea of what a machine was. So in many homes, it was more like, it's just a domestic thing you do to patch, it's more of like having a first aid kit in your house. You have a sewing machine and a sewing kit. Your button loosens, you learn. So all those little things, it was just there. It wasn't seen as something you could make. But the funniest thing is, there were names that had been existing long before that, like, Coco Chanel,
Vera Wang.
Vera Wang is still new. Let me go back to Karl Lagerfeld and co. They all grew up in the same setting. Christian Dior and co. Like those who now really changed what fashion became. Because I don't even want to go to fashion history. My life, no, forget. I don't want to start my own. Different paths that I've entered. So we have to. And the little things that it shows our parents. Okay, wow. Okay, our parents just didn't want us. Because of what they didn't see ahead, and because they didn't know what it was like out there, they didn't see it as something that would be profitable because they grew up in an industrial age where you go to school, you come out, you get a good job, it takes care of you. And it was taking care. My dad was the only person bringing in money into the home, and we had 2 cats. He was feeding 5 children and his wife. And we lived well. Until the economy was, even though the economy was still like this, it wasn't so bad.
It cannot be compared to now.
Cannot be compared to now. That's the truth. But if one income could feed a family of 7,
imagine
more than 7, because there were times we had helps and drivers. Like we had drivers. My dad had his driver. We, the children, had our own drivers. That was how things were. So using that mindset, thinking, it's always going to be like this.
Easier.
So they use that to raise us millennials, and now we're the ones trying to figure things out because things have changed. And then though they are kind of adjusting because they are also affected. For those of them that are still here with us, they're actually seeing that, the thing that worked for us is no longer working.
It's not applicable anymore.
So they're still double-sided, they're still double-minded. Like, you still have your federal government job. You have money that is constantly coming into your account. As you're doing that one, you have time to do your side. Don't just leave it, and they would even expect you to carry on like that and not leave. If they even want to say, pick which one to do, tell you, leave your side also and focus on yourself. Like, as you're doing this one, you're building on, and to be realistic, you can't, one has to forgo for the other. You can't actually.
All right, ladies, I want to say, if we should continue, I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about. Still have, more opportunities for us to share more light on ideas that we have. But I want to say thank you for, this time. Thank you for your wealth of wisdom. Thank you for the input. And then to our listeners, we hope you are able to learn 1 or 2 things that will help you to, navigate your path, try to find your footing in life. Thank you. And from all of us here, we're saying
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.